Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Brothers and sisters, welcome to part 2 of the series, inshallah ta'ala, for the 40 Hadith Essential to Dawah. I think most of you, inshallah, have you tuned into part 1 and 2, or the introduction and then part 1. Inshallah, you'll know the theme of the stream. And because it's going to be a very short reminder, I'm going to zip my mouth and not say too much, and I'm going to refer straight back to, inshallah, Sheikh Abu Aaliyah to get things on the way, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khairan. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Okay, so last week we started this series of 40 hadiths essential to Dawah. I mean, I'm using the anglicized word hadiths, otherwise it's ahadith. Hadiths is okay because we know what we're talking about. And last week, we started at the most obvious point, which was we read a hadith about intentions, niyyah. Innamal a'malu binniyat, actions are judged by intentions. And we connected that to ikhlas, doing an act of worship. And dawah, according to Allah, is indeed an act of worship. Doing an act of worship solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we said that amongst the definitions that have been given for ikhlas or sincerity is the one which says that it is tajreed al-qasd lillah. It's stripping the motives or the intention behind an act of worship such that there is no other motive other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we also said that last week I mentioned that it is easier said than done. We should never take the issue of intentions and sincerity lightly. It's something we really need to roll up our sleeves and work upon, and it's pure tawfiq, pure grace from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, the opposite, the flip side of that reality is riyah, showing off and ostentation and doing things for the ego, for the sake of oneself, for self-promotion, or for any other nafsi or egotistical motives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deplores that and has forbidden that and has and will not accept anything of that. So we move on to the second hadith, and remember, these are just snippets. We're not going into things in any great detail. We're just kind of like skimming the surface of things, and these are things that we're trying to establish principles out of them. So the second thing is, it's concerning, and it might sound a bit obvious, but the second hadith is about what do we call to? Okay, dawah is a call. What is the call to, or who is the call to? So our second hadith is a hadith in Bukhari and Muslim. It's a lovely hadith, the hadith of Ibn Abbas, who says, لما بعث النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم معاذا إلى نحو أهل اليمن قال له. When the Prophet, Ibn Abbas says, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Mu'adh to the people of Yemen, this is what he said to him: إنك تقدم على قوم من أهل الكتاب. You are soon going to reach a people from the people of the book. فليكن أول ما تدعوهم إلي. So let the first thing you make da'wah to them with be, or let the first thing you invite them to be, أن يوحدوا الله تعالى, is to single out Allah alone, to make Allah one, to the tawheed of Allah. فإذا عرفوا ذلك فأخبرهم أن الله فرض عليهم 5 صلوات في يومهم وليلتهم. And if they accept this from you, then tell them that Allah has obligated upon them 5 daily prayers in their day and their night, until the end of the hadith. So let the first thing you call them to be is Ayyuwahidullah, the tawheed of Allah. And as I mentioned last week, and I'll just reiterate it again, The idea of Tawheed in the Arabic language, in the Quranic language, simply means to make something one. In this case, when we're talking about inviting to the Tawheed of Allah, we have various words for this. None of them are adequate in and of themselves, so they are rough approximations, and I don't think we should get too hung up on translations, and I don't think we're really justified in getting too hung up on translations, unless of course they're dreadful. But Tawheed of Allah can mean the oneness of God, but what it means is Allah is one in terms of that He is the sole Lord and Creator. What it means is that Allah is one in the sense that He is unique in terms of His names and His attributes and His qualities. Allah is one in the sense of that to Him alone, He alone deserves all worship. He alone is the true deity worthy of worship. None has the right to be worshipped. None deserves worship apart from Him. This is the sense, or these are the various senses in which we use the word yuwahidullah, to make Allah one, the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we're calling to the Tawheed of Allah first. If they accept that from us, tell them that there are 5 daily prayers. If they accept that, tell them there is zakat, and so on and so forth. So we do learn that there is tadarruj, there is step-by-step calling and invitation. It's not like just the whole whack all in one go. It's inviting to that which is most essential, and then next in importance, then next in importance. For the sole reason is that human hearts generally cannot take on board everything all in one go. And given the fact that the Quran, the message of Islam, Iman, faith itself, is rather a weighty thing. Okay, as Allah says in the Quran about the Quran, Inna sunulki alayka qawlan thaqila, we shall soon reveal upon you qawlun thaqil, a weighty word, a heavy word. Then the heart can only bear so much at a time, and revelation, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His mercy has taken that into consideration. So the first thing we call to is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now let me just take a step back and very quickly say that overall, throughout the history of Islam, there generally are 3 broad challenges. There are thousands of challenges and obstacles and issues, but there are 3 broad challenges. And sometimes one of the 3 is at the top of the pyramid at some times and places, and then at other times it's the other one, or the second or the third. The 3 challenges are this: how did the universe get here? Why is there something rather than nothing? This is the question between us and atheists. Secondly, what is the authentic book revealed by God? What is the authentic book that has been sent down from heaven? That is the question between us and the point of contention between us and, say, Jews and Christians. And then thirdly, what is the orthodox way within Islam? What is the straight path in Islam? Not the straight, Islam is the straight path, but in that straight path, what is the orthodox straight path? That is an intra-Muslim issue. Sometimes it's couched in the language of Sunnis and Shias, and sometimes it's couched in the Sunni language of between we Sunnis think we're orthodox, and other Sunnis say no, you're not orthodox, we're orthodox. So that's an intra-Muslim thing. Once upon a time, say 10, 15 years ago, definitely 20, 25 years ago, the focus of Dawah here in the UK would have mainly been trying to prove that Islam and the Quran are the truth by dispelling or by showing why the Bible or Christianity isn't the religion revealed by God or the scriptures get sent by God. And even if it was, it's abrogated. Okay, but slowly and steadily coming to now, there is now a practical atheism unleashed on the nation. Even if in the next census 60% of people still say that we're Christians, or 65%, let's say they do, or even 50%. Point being is, in their day-to-day life, it's almost as if they are atheists. Okay, that's how much Anglican Christianity has kind of unfortunately eroded to. And so it becomes the issue of discussing why there is something rather than nothing, who created the universe, how did the universe get here, is really the issue of the time in terms of what do we invite to first. But you might go to, say, South America, some kind of Catholic Christian state in South America, and find that actually it's less atheism, and again, it's more Christianity, for example. So we just need to bear in mind that these dynamics can be in flux, okay? That doesn't mean to say that even if we are not talking about atheism, we shouldn't still be talking about God, because even if it comes to Jews and Christians, then it's a wrong concept of God. And somewhere along the line, something immeasurably wrong and false is being believed about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we'll have to address anyway. So that is, in one sense, still Tawheed. Let me mention two verses before rounding up that I think are really the kind of the central pillars of our dawah. So one of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the 14th surah, verse 10, قَالَتْ رُسُلُهُمْ أَفِي اللَّهِ شَكٍّ. Their messengers said, is there any doubt about God? أَفِي اللَّهِ شَكٍّ فَاطِرِ السَّمَوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Is there any doubt about God, the sole originator or the sole creator of the heavens and the earth? That's one verse. Let's keep that in mind. And another verse in Surah Anbiya, the 21st chapter, verse 25. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رُسُلٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونَ. We sent no messenger before you, except that we revealed to them, La ilaha illa ana. There is no God but Allah. There's no God but me. Fa'budun. Then worship me. So worship me. So the first verse can be read in a number of ways. It can be read, is there any doubt about God? Meaning, how can you doubt about God? That's the normal way that we read it. But it can also be read in the way that you can't doubt about God, or you shouldn't be doubting about God, because how do you explain the existence of the universe? How do you explain the existence of something rather than nothing? You yourself know rationally, and you can even intuit it, that something doesn't come from nothing. There's got to be something that kickstarts the whole thing. So it can be used in the sense of castigation. How dare you even have doubt about God? Or it can be used as a tanbih, as a kind of alerting and prodding the conscience to think, well, how did everything get here in the first place? Now, in our day and age, that verse needs to be used as a prod. We need to help shake society as a whole up from their comfort zone to get them to ask the question beyond, oh, the Big Bang. Right? Okay, yeah, the science has worked it out. It told us that we all came here via the Big Bang. Well, maybe there's more to it. Who knows? And so we have to kind of we have to help them dialogue that, inshallah ta'ala. We have to help them dialogue with that to make them understand that actually, well, the Big Bang only delays the same question. How did the Big Bang get here? And the multiverse delays the same question. Well, how did the multiverse get here? We came through quantum fluctuations through a quantum vacuum. Same question. How the quantum vacuum you're saying is nothing, but it is something. Okay, there is no doubt about, no physicist will disagree that it is something. You may write a book with a book title that it's nothing, but actually you'll have to agree somewhere in the book that it's something. So the kind of answers that we feel have answered the big question actually haven't really answered them, but we're in a state whereby we're kind of being lulled into not thinking. And so the da'i needs to prod in a very wise but forceful manner people to think outside of their comfort zones. And this is one kind of verse. So that kind of needs to be our starting point. Allah, Tawheed needs to be our starting point. And in this day and age, the starting point is just existence of Allah, who created creation, who brought it into existence. And there are a number of ways to deal with that, and I'm not going to go through them except just to touch upon them. There is the kind of rational discursive way, and that works for some people. But actually, most people aren't kind of used to kind of structured rational discourses. Perhaps more people today are than in the past, but still I suspect, and it's just anecdotal, that if you were to take, you know, the 60, 70 million people in Britain and kind of like quiz them as to what kind of what appeals to them, a rational argument or more of an intuitive argument, especially about the big questions, we might be surprised that it's not always definitely we're rational people, we're a rational society, you know, post-enlightenment, so on and so forth. It generally kind of doesn't work. So the Quran doesn't really do a kind of discursive argument, but what it does a lot, it appeals to what we call our intuitive nature or our primordial nature, which is fitrah. Okay, and I won't go into that. We can go into it later. And so in the Quran, we have what is called the falaki arguments. Falak literally means a heavenly body, a star or a planet. Look up to the heavens. Ponder, how did all of that get there? You must arrive at the conclusion it got there by something that maybe got there through something else, and which got there through something else. But ultimately, that series of events must stop with an ultimate something that doesn't need anything to kickstart it, the prime mover, or in our case, God. Okay, that's really the appeal of the Quran. The second verse, we didn't send any messenger except that we revealed to him that there is none worthy of worship except Allah. That already addresses those who believe in a creator. But as I mentioned before, so many people who believe in God as creator, as Lord, as sustainer, have faulty understandings about God, which more often than not makes their worship of God faulty, either by making them associate partners with God, or because they have a deficient belief in God's lordship. They therefore have a deficient belief about how we should worship him. Okay, the two are very connected. Deficient belief in God will lead to deficient worship of God. Deficient worship or defective worship of God is a sign that there is a defective belief in God in the first place. They are hand in glove, intertwined, or to use theological language, when there is when someone messes up in their rububiyyah, they'll mess up in their uluhiyyah, and when they mess up in their uluhiyyah, it's because they've already messed up in their rububiyyah. So this is really how we start. In brief, the dawah that all of Allah's prophets and messengers were upon is established on two aspects. One, the call to believe in God as the sole Lord and creator of everything. And two, the call to single out God or Allah alone for all worship, associating no partner with him. That is the second hadith related in Bukhari and Muslim. You are soon going to a people from the people of the book. Let the very first thing you invite them to be is Ayyuwahidullah, the Tawheed of Allah. May Allah Jalla Jalaluhu give us tawfiq, and may he make us wise and insightful in our dawah, and may he cause us to help open up the hearts of those that we speak to and retrieve from them their fitrah and their declaration that in their pre-bodily form, they all said, yes, you are our Lord, O Allah.
Subhanallah, that's a beautiful reminder, Sheikh. And you know, one of the things as you were speaking that really does stand out is that the Quranic arguments, though they are a few words, not entire pages and pages of arguments, the question, the rhetorical question, is such that whether you're a physicist or you're a layperson like myself, somebody who might not be trained in science and what have you, when both of these people on the spectrum apply their reason in investigating where did it all come from, or do you not reflect upon the heavens and the earth, both people can arrive at the same conclusion.
Subhanallah, subhanallah.
And in a very short little few verses.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It doesn't require pages and pages of convincing you. It just requires you to sit there and just reason.
Yeah.
And whether you're a lay person or whether you're an expert, physicist, highly qualified physicist, actually things don't come from nothing. And you can arrive at that conclusion and subhanAllah, arrive at the necessary existence of something that has to always be there. SubhanAllah, what a beautiful ending to the stream. Sheikh, Jazakallah khair, would you like to add anything?
My only addition would be, once upon a time, 50, 60, 100 years ago, those who would be resistant in accepting that something must have created the universe, a being, a deity, they probably in all likelihood were very stubborn, very arrogant types of people. Today, however, those who deny that or have problems in accepting that the creation must have had a creator, I believe are less stubborn or arrogant. I'm not saying that there aren't arrogant and stubborn ones, but because of the nature of society, the nature of how science has informed our lives, the nature of blurring science fiction with science fact and various other things, has made it such that the fitrah has been damaged and wounded. The fitrah has been damaged and wounded. Most scholars are of the opinion that the fitrah can never be eradicated or eliminated entirely. The dominant position is it cannot be. But all of the scholars and theologians agree the fitrah can be seriously damaged and scarred, such that arguments that should appeal to the innate, intuitive nature of human beings then aren't so appealing, because there's loads of rust and all this kind of junk on it that needs to be kind of untangled. So we need to be far more patient in this age of kind of practical atheism, and not make judgments that, they're just being pig-headed or stubborn or arrogant. Some of them are, but many of them are not. That's
it reminds me of something I heard Brother Hamza Zorsis say about, and I'm sure this is something that scholars have mentioned as well, that the fitrah can become clouded, and it's sometimes an event like a crashing plane or an imminent danger that suddenly unclouds the fitrah. And then the soul, and that's why I suppose even people who don't believe in God do actually joke and make in jest, and they say there are no atheists on a crashing plane.
Yes.
And the reason for that, of course, is that suddenly the fitrah is unclouded, and one's mortality is suddenly now completely in the, as it were, relevant to them. And so they resort back to the fitrah, which is, oh God, if you're out there, save me. Subhanallah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, Ustad Hamza is absolutely right. Back in the day, before modern TVs, when we had the old TVs with the tubes, sometimes just to get a proper picture, you had to just bang it. And then, from a fuzzy picture to a clear picture. Or sometimes with more modern stuff like an iPhone, sometimes it kind of gets stuck. But if you just plug it in, If you just plug it in and just give it that, 1 second kind of worth of plugging in charge, it kind of jolts it back into things. I see that the fitra can definitely, as Ustad Hamza has kind of told us, can be a bit like that, inshallah.
Yeah, subhanallah. Sheikh, we'll call it inshallah the completion of part 2. Jazakallah khair, and inshallah ta'ala we'll see you again next week, same time, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, Jazakallah khair for joining us. I hope it's been beneficial, inshallah. I do recommend that people don't make too many comments and actually pay attention to the talk. And if you can, do take notes, or at least watch the stream again to refresh yourself if you've been distracted, because there are real gems in there that we could all, inshallah, benefit from. As I say, Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.